possessed the mental attitude of, but I'm still a human at the end of the day, and I cannot be a slave or dependent on the matrix aspect.
Boom. I was just, dude.
Hey, Wild P, this the one right here. Yes, sir.
Bruh, it's wild out here.
I needed that one.
It's really wild out here, man. Look, welcome to another episode of
Two Dads
Named
Named
Chad.
Chad.
All right, I'm your host, Chad.
I'm also your host, Chad Jr.
Okay, and I don't know about you guys, but for us, it's been a long 2025, and we're only getting into the third month of it. A lot of things have been coming into our purview that we now have to take notice of, and we can no longer turn a blind eye to it. Maybe an uncomfortable conversation for a lot of people to have with your family, even with yourself. You know, we've witnessed some things in recent months, days, weeks that we probably, can't say that we've ever seen. It's unprecedented. We're living in unprecedented times, Chad. Yeah. I'm 50 years young. I've seen a lot, but I haven't seen it all. I'm not gonna lie. Comfortability, began to set in, and comfortability is the thing that will be, to our detriment if we don't wake up and smell the roses.
Yeah.
Okay. And what I mean by that is, America, like I said, for the most part has been, a beacon of stability. And, you go to sleep, everything's okay. You wake up, everything's okay. But in recent times, we've learned that every day brings a whole new dimension of where we could possibly be headed.
Right. Yeah.
And so that prompted me to ask myself the question, as a grown man, as a father, husband, someone that is the caretaker of my family, a leader.
Yeah.
If the shit was to hit the fan,
Right.
how long could we make it, if we could make it at all? And what I mean by making it is food, water, shelter, safety.
Yeah. Well, I think that with where we are currently, I think that it's important for people to realize that without a plan, you're bound to fail when things hit the fan, right? And I think that it's important to understand as well that planning ahead is always going to be essential when it comes to the safety and the security of not only just your future, but your family's future as well. My son and, the potential of, his future as well.
Yeah.
And I definitely agree. I think that currently we are in times where, democracy is currently being challenged. And that's scary. I think that no one should be taking where we are currently lightly at all.
Not at all.
And it does provoke that, those thoughts, where you're kind of almost daydreaming about not the fun things, but more so about, man, like what can I do to make sure that I'm not in lack when it comes to being able to survive.
Yeah.
I think that's a huge, talking point that, we're going to discuss throughout this episode, because I'm sure you can agree when I say this, but no one wants to be in a situation where, when things do hit the fan, I mean,
You're either a liability or asset.
you're either a liability or an asset.
Yeah.
And so I definitely think that
Yeah.
that's critical to
Yeah, I
have a
think-
plan.
Yeah, and I think a lot of folks have, lived vicariously through Hollywood
Mm-hmm.
by seeing movies like this, TV shows.
Mm-hmm.
Whether it's a zombie apocalypse or a nuclear fallout, but you never really could imagine it happening in your current
Mm-hmm.
day in life. But at the same time, none of us ever thought that there'd be a pandemic that would have, that would take out 1 million people, or whatever took them out. Or have us on lockdown.
Mm-hmm.
Have the shelves empty in the stores. Nobody ever saw that. I didn't see that coming.
Yeah.
That wasn't on nobody's bingo card.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? That was 5 years ago. You were 20 years old, with a baby on the way.
Yeah.
And you were entering, times of uncertainty, and now that, Maverick, my grandson, your son is 5 years old. So just in his 5 years of living, he enters the world during a pandemic. 5 years later, here we are with democracy, our democracy in peril.
Yeah.
So it seems.
Right.
So we have to, stop looking at things as, they will never happen, and start preparing for them for when they do happen.
Yeah.
So I was prompted. Well, first of all, let me add, so the question is, are most Americans adequately prepared for an extreme national emergency, i.e. a natural disaster, a long-term drought, or a war on our territory? That's something that we haven't seen since a war on our territory, since the Civil War.
Right.
We've had, the 9/11, 9/11, which was isolated to certain, to a terrorist event.
Yeah.
But it wasn't a war on our territory.
Indeed.
Where our borders, whether they be our north and south border, or our state borders, or we were in a state of martial law. That's something that many of us couldn't imagine. So I got on ChatGTP, because you got to utilize all tools at your disposal while you have them.
Mm-hmm.
And I asked the question of ChatGTP. I said, create a checklist of items I would need for a family of 8 to survive 30 days if the government was to collapse.
Right.
And its response was, if the government collapsed and you needed to sustain a family of 8 for 30 days, you'd need a well-rounded supply of essentials. Here's a checklist to cover food, water, shelter, security, medical needs, and other survival necessities.
Right.
And the list went on and on and on. And
Right.
as I got to reading it, the first thing I thought of was, oh shit,
Yeah.
man, we wouldn't make
Yeah.
it fucking 3 days.
Right. Because before we even, dive into the list, right? When we talk about a list, I think that most people that are watching this episode, if not all, the first thing that they're going to do is create this list with the belief that, oh, okay, these are things that I would be able to get from the store. Well, what happens if during an event in a time where we are under martial law, in a time where we're under a total shutdown, right?
Mhm.
We're isolated. We have no sort of distribution coming in or out of U.S. border lines, right? You're going to see scarcity,
Yeah.
and once we start to see scarcity, we start to see the
Panic.
value. We start to see panic, and then
Panic.
we start to see the value of the dollar decrease significantly.
Yes. It
Because
means
it's not
nothing.
going to matter.
Doesn't matter.
So that's why this list is important for before things take place, and
well
not
before.
well, and I mean well before things
Yeah.
take place.
Yes.
because like it you could like go ahead and read something that's
okay,
on that list and
so
you
for
tell me
instance,
what would be
okay.
the most high value thing on that list.
Okay. Man,
Because they're all high value.
man. Listen, on this list, really there is nothing. And we're going to go through this list. Nothing is negotiable.
Yeah.
You have to have everything on this list,
Yeah.
man.
Yeah.
Because see, this is the thing. This is the thing. All right. We're not talking about if something was to happen and within 72 hours, FEMA shows up. There is no FEMA.
Yeah.
We already,
They're
there's
not
no
sending-
FEMA.
They're not sending
The
FEMA.
government's not, if the government is the problem, they're not sending someone to help.
Yeah.
Okay. So what happens is, Americans are not adequately prepared. Many Americans think it will work like this. Disaster happens on a Tuesday. FEMA shows up on a Wednesday. They cut checks on Thursday. The builders arrive on Friday. Everything is back to normal by the weekend. No.
Yeah.
No, when we're talking about this potential
Yeah.
disaster
Mm-hmm.
emergency, this national, emergency, we're really talking about a new normal. Okay, we're talking about this is the way things are now. Okay, we've become so reliant upon, having access to technology, having access to electricity at the flick of a switch, having access to water at the turn of a faucet,
Yeah.
being able to go to the supermarket, and just buy our groceries and eat and cook it. Okay, when this potential disaster occurs, all of those things will cease to exist.
Right.
You will literally be living in the Stone Age.
Yeah.
And that is something, like I said, that most people don't want to fathom. They don't want to think about it.
Right.
It disturbs their nervous system to a degree that, well, I'm gonna stick my head in the sand and act like that will never happen.
Yeah.
But how can we act like it's never happened when it's happened to damn near every country
Yeah.
except for the US?
Yeah. It's not it's possible.
It's possible. Okay,
Yeah.
we live in a
It takes
state of infinite.
it takes the right set of events.
There's a catalyst for all of this.
Yeah.
And we're witnessing the catalyst. We're witnessing, America become more and more isolated from its allies. The lack of trust.
Yeah.
That they have in us to be a protector.
Mm-hmm.
And now, if other countries, our former allies or our allies, no longer are witnessing this, and they no longer trust us. When I say us, I'm not referring to me and you. When I say us, I'm talking about the U.S.
Yeah.
Us.
The people that represent the U.S. Mm-hmm.
If they can't trust them, how can we trust them? So this list is something that we have to start accumulating now. It can be overwhelming. It's only overwhelming if you think that I got to have all this stuff by tomorrow. No, you got to start getting this stuff tomorrow.
Yeah.
And start building up these reserves, these resources.
Yeah.
And the thing is, you don't need to have it all, but you got to have something to bring to the party.
Yeah.
You cannot show up to the apocalypse empty-handed.
Yeah.
Okay. So, getting into the list, like you asked, what are some of the most important, items, on here? And I said, well, all of them. Okay. Most of these things we can't survive without, but I said a family of 8. Okay. So that's myself, you, Maverick, your sisters, her husband, my son-in-law, my granddaughter, okay, wife, everybody that would come here. We have to have supplies for everybody. So when you're making this list, it can't be just for one person. You got to think about everybody that is under your care. Okay. If you have an elderly parent, how are you going to get them from where they're at to safety? Or are you just going to say, fuck them? Okay. I don't think that's something that people think about. A lot of people nowadays don't live in the vicinity of their parents.
Yeah.
or even their children.
Yeah.
How do we muster? That's
Yeah.
might have been what you're talking about. Muster means
Yeah,
to
yeah, yeah.
assemble,
Yeah.
to come to a rally point. How do we then assemble if there's no code word?
Yeah. Because here's one possibility that I'm going to throw out there to make, you know, our viewers think about this even deeper. Not to scare, right? Because it's to bring awareness to the possibility, right? In the event where we shut down, right? In the event where the power grids go blank, right? If you have grandparents or parents or siblings or any family members that do not live relatively close to you to where you can drive and go pick them up within a 100-mile range without, you know, God forbid that, you know, gasoline, fuel goes scarce as well, right? How are you going to get in touch with them?
Yeah.
How are you going to make sure that they're safe? How are you going to make sure that they are on board with what the plan is, right? And as I just said that, right, there should be a plan in line before things even happen. So
mom, dad, grandparents.
So there should be like some sort of document or agreement within a family that says, hey, in the event that our government fails us, this is what needs to be done.
Yeah.
And these are the steps that need to be taken. That's super important. Nobody has ever, well, I'm not going to say nobody, but people need to really lock in on that type of thinking and say, you know what, he's right. I'm going to come up with a plan and reach out to my family and say, hey, this is something that I thought about. We all need to agree on this.
And it's funny you mentioned that, right? When I was in the Army, I used to manage communication security, and you had to have a plan in case of an emergency of how to destroy this physical material that could lead, you know, if it ever got in the hands of, you know, the enemy, it could lead to a national security, you know, crisis, right? So you had to have steps, step 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And in those steps, everybody had a role. Okay. So me being, you know, the father, the dad, you know, the leader or whatever, it's not for me to do everything, but everybody has to have a task.
Yeah.
Okay. If the shit was to hit the fan, everybody needs to know what their responsibility is and what to do when, you know, the trumpets are sounded. Most young folks nowadays don't even know how to read a physical map. Okay, so if they had to go 200-300 miles to another state to even go get their people, they may not even know how to get there because they've been relying on GPS for so long. Do you have a physical map in your possession?
Oh,
you know, things like that.
Yeah.
Okay.
And that's the main thing. Because if you,
you don't have a physical map. You don't have. Well, do you have a physical map? Those are things that's simple stuff. You know, so getting into the list, like I said, everything is so important. You know, number one, what's my water?
Yeah.
Okay, so for a family of 8, you know, and this is all, you know, relative to our situation, you have to create this for your own personal, you know, situation. But a family of 8, 240 gallons of water. That's 1 gallon of water per person per day. Now, at some point, that's going to have to get rationed because we're not just talking about water for drinking purposes. We're talking about water for hygiene purposes also, because you have to maintain your hygiene.
Yeah.
When one person gets sick, everybody's going to get sick.
Because I was actually I was watching a video, and I think it was actually something that me and you both have in our phones that we shared. And the guy was talking about how, you know, once electricity goes, man, most people's properties, even those who live in rural areas as well, the water systems are ran off of electricity. So the clean water that you're getting, eventually it's going to become polluted and susceptible to diseases and germs and things of that nature. So regardless of there being any sort of well that can pump water, eventually
when there's no electricity, it's not pumping water.
Eventually, it's gonna, you know, so there's gonna be water in the ground, but you're not gonna be
not gonna have access to it. So water, 240 gallons.
Yeah.
You know, and can you imagine what that looks like? Where does one store that at?
Yeah.
You know, if it was in 50-gallon drums, you know, that would be 5. You know, 50 gallon drums.
That's a good question. Where do you store that? Yeah.
How do you protect it? Okay, from scavengers. You know, water filtration, gravity fed. You got to have gravity fed or pump filters, life straws,
Yeah.
things like that. So, I don't know if people have seen these life straws where you suck the water through. I'm not going to demonstrate that, but you suck the water through the straw and it purifies it, en route to, your mouth.
There's a straw. You're saying there's a straw
It's called a
that
life straw.
purifies
It purifies the water. So you can drink
Oh.
it out of damn near a stream. All right, don't worry, I got some coming. They'll be here this week.
As I'm pulling my phone out, like, huh?
Yeah. So Berkeley Sawyer Life Straws. That's one of the most popular brands. So water purification tablets, bleach, or a boiling setup. Okay, because those are methods of how you can purify your water. Because the first thing is, like you said, people, they take it for granted that when they turn that faucet on, water comes out. All right. But now there's no one treating this water at these plants.
Yeah.
So the water becomes poisonous to you. So you die trying to survive.
Yeah.
You become sick with dysentery.
Yeah.
Because you don't possess the necessary skills for the most basics of life, which is to stay hydrated.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. Because I guarantee you, if we were to, be sitting here drinking well water, because of the fact that we did not have water.
Yeah.
Yeah, man, we would die.
Yeah, we have a well on the property. We have 2 wells. We don't drink the water. The dogs drink the water. They're still alive. They've been alive for a long time.
Yeah.
I've gotten the water tested. The water is okay.
Yeah.
It's coming straight from the ground. It goes through 2 filters, and it's okay.
Yeah.
But like I said, once again, if the power goes out, how does the well motor is not going to be able to pull the water out of the ground?
Mm-hmm.
So you had to have enough water to sustain you until you can, develop some sort of mechanism, to provide, whether it's solar power, to get that well working. Now, that's all good and fine if you're able to even stay on your property. Okay, because you may not be able to stay on your property.
And what would be the reason why? Because I know that through martial law, there's a potential that even when you have private property, that can also become subject to being quote unquote confiscated as well.
Exactly, because the whole thing is for them to weed out those that can become independent. Because if you can become independent, you are a problem.
Yeah.
If you have resources, you are a problem. If you have weapons, you are a problem. Okay. So if you have this whole setup and people know about you having this setup, they're coming to take it. Whether it's your neighbors, people that you once trusted, how you have to secure your property. If that means you have to bury weapons, throughout your property, if you have to bury food, if you have to bury, other resources and only the people on your property know where this stuff is at, you have to do it. But life will not be anything resembling how it was.
Right. For quite a long time.
For quite a long time.
Well.
If martial law was to kick in. Okay. It's not a state. Well, the government shut down, you guys are just left to your own devices. Enjoy life off the grid. No, you're going to be in a constant state of defending and protecting, what you had, or what you have, so water for purification, water storage. You got to think about that, all those things. Storage containers, large water storage barrels, jugs, or collapsible containers.
Yeah.
Who's got that?
Yeah.
Who's got that right now, in their house, whether you're living in the city or living in the country? Who's got stuff like this?
Yeah, where are you going to store all that food?
Yeah.
Or in an event where, like, for example, if you do decide to stock up on non-perishables, MREs, things like that. Yeah, where are you going to store it?
Where are you going to store it?
Because, in a regular house, I mean, yeah, you have the kitchen and things like that, but the pantry is so big. Right.
Yeah.
And then on top of that, it's just like you have to be able to protect.
You gotta secure it.
All of your goods, right? Especially in the event, and this is actually in terms of like speaking from an extreme perspective. Like, say for example, if things got so bad that you had to leave your own home to move to rural areas because the neighborhood is under
Yeah.
attack
You have a
because
bug
of
out bag?
because of looters or because
Yeah.
of just
Yeah.
that type
It's
of
not safe.
environment. It's
It's
not
not
safe
safe.
overall, right?
Yeah.
What dwellings do you have that allows you to house a family, house your goods, and house every your firearms like you're talking about?
Yeah.
That's obviously, and like I said, an
Yeah.
extreme situation where things truly are just like run down. You see it in the
Apocalyptic.
movies where it's just like, man, listen, what what do you have?
Yeah.
And so I think that in that situation, you have to be able to protect that stuff, because if it goes bad,
Yeah.
then you have nothing.
You got nothing, man.
You
And
know?
let me tell you, you know, like I said, we've all seen this movie where the family is on the go. They had to bug out, and they come across a property, and they say, well, maybe we can, maybe this person can help us out. No one's going to help you out. No one is coming to your aid in this particular situation.
Most
because
friends and families are gonna be like people that have their own system.
Yeah,
So, hey
it's
man, I
survival.
can't help you.
It can't
I'm
help
sorry.
you.
I have my own people. I mean,
we've seen everybody's seen Bird Box. Okay, it's survival of the fittest, and that doesn't mean fit from a standpoint of physical fitness or mental fitness. That means whoever is able to adapt to these new conditions will survive. So food, water, shelter, safety. We talk about water storage for these things, food and cooking, non-perishable foods, canned meats, beans, rice, pastas, peanut butter, freeze-dried meals, powdered milk, oats, cooking methods, propane stove,
Yeah.
right? A fire pit, a solar oven, or a rocket stove. I don't even know what that is. Okay, but I need to know what that is. I have propane. Do I have enough propane to last for any significant duration? No, not at all.
What is a typical size of propane, like a canister that is used for like a grill, right?
For a grill is I want to say it's like 15 pounds or something like that. 20 pounds of propane.
So then how long of something like would that last? Because you're not using a grill all the time, but in a situation where you have to use this all the time.
Bruh, if all you had was one of those ones for like a gas grill.
Yeah.
Man, you may, if you ration it out,
using it conservatively,
you potentially could get 30 days, maybe. We're talking about cooking, excuse me, one hot meal and at the same time boiling water, you may get 20 to 30 days out of this thing, provided that you don't waste it for
gourmet meals and stuff. Look, man, let's not waste our propane tanks on trying to make stir fry.
Trying to make a steak.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Please, come on, man.
So you need so like I said, cooking supplies, Ziploc bags, foil, plastic wrap, things like that to preserve your foods. Shelter and warmth. Depending on where you live, up north or down south, your winters are going to be longer up north. So you're going to need more things to keep you warm through the winter, and protect you from the elements, because exposure can take you out the game, in the south, in the summertime hits, you're going to probably have to consume more water, and you don't have the luxury in a lot of places of catching rainwater, or catching snow melting and then producing more water. All right. So depending on where you live will dictate, your accessibility to natural resources.
Also, let's not forget as well, natural instinctive skill sets, right?
Yeah.
Such as hunting.
Yeah.
Let's not forget that.
Yeah.
So deer, I mean, obviously, in a situation like that, I would hope that you have the ability to hunt if it came down to it, right? Because if you don't, and there is absolutely no food, you're gonna starve.
You're gonna starve.
And if it comes down to, well, dang, I have to hunt, you're gonna want to be like, okay, well, I have a firearm, or I got a bow, an arrow, or I got something, right? Maybe it's a lasso and a knife, right? I hope you're good at catching that deer.
Yeah.
That's also something that's it's not
Yeah.
off the table as well.
But
You
you know,
know?
you have to have the necessary skills to, you
And
know,
equipment
necessary skills to clean that deer. Okay,
in that part too.
to butcher that deer.
Mhm.
Okay, most people do not. I mean, instinctively you'll figure it out.
Yeah, eventually.
Okay,
Yeah,
but
yeah, for sure.
initially, obviously, most people, you know, do not. And then, of course, you need to have the ability to preserve
Mhm.
the meat.
Yeah.
Okay, whether you do you've killed a deer, you know, or some sort of game, you're not going to be able to eat it all in one day, nor should you.
Right.
So how do you then store and protect, you know, those because that's not perishable, right?
You know
It's
what?
not-
I'm gonna be honest. That is actually a great point. I don't know how you would store
Oh.
meat.
Oh, exactly. So you need things like salt. You need storage. You know, you need ice or the ability to, you know, some people will probably bury it, you know, because the ground will be cooler. But you're not
Gosh.
gonna get.
Yeah.
You're not going to be able to make it last long. You may have to smoke it and then turn it into jerky. You might have to prepare it all and turn it into, but you don't, you know, these are things that it's worth doing the research on now and learning, you know, while we have the resources, you know, to show us through
Right.
YouTube or books or anything like that.
Right.
It's, you know, when the shit hits the fan, it's too late to learn how to live off the grid and how to learn how to live in the wild.
Yeah. And that's actually a great point. And I was as you were talking about that, I was thinking about how that's why it's important to establish a community, establish a network of
Yeah.
people
Because everybody's
that
not
you
going,
can designate, okay, look,
Certain
you are the
tasks.
hunter, you are the gatherer, you are the person that builds the
Shelters.
the shelters, you are the
Mhm.
person that, you know, A, B, and C, right?
You got to reestablish you have
You
to
need to
reestablish
focus on
civilization.
that particular skill set because we can't all do the same thing. It's great that everybody possesses the same level of skills, but it would be efficient if you have that network of people that it's like everybody has a role and
Task,
everybody is
yeah.
going to perform that
Mhm.
role. So that way
Indeed.
at the end of the day, it's not all on one person that, you know, all of these things is under one umbrella falls on one person.
Yeah.
You know?
Because what happens when that person, if something was happening to
if
that
so-
person,
Yeah.
you know, then you're back at square one.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know,
Yeah. Because you definitely wouldn't and you know, I'm not speaking to the people that are lone survivors out there that
Yeah, they can do that. They will do
want
that.
they want to, hey,
and when they go, they
hey,
go.
when shit
It
hit the
doesn't matter.
fan, I'm good, man. Look,
Yeah.
I'll take it on at any
Yeah.
given time.
Yeah,
You
but
know,
we're
so
talking about
I'm not
we're talking about if this was to happen to the masses of people, to everybody,
yeah,
due to a situation that we can't say is unforeseen, because it is now foreseen.
Mhm.
But everybody's living like this, and people have families.
yeah,
We're not talking about that mountain man that's been living, you know, in a you know, up in the woods
yeah,
for the past 10 years that's
Yeah.
cut off society.
Mhm.
This person knows how to do all these things. They're perfectly adjusted and happy living this life. We're talking about people that were living in a condo, were living in the creature comforts of their own home for their entire life, you know, and they never had to have to figure these things out. And now they do. And maybe they're alone, or maybe they have their family. You know, either way, you're going to have an extreme learning curve. And you know, we talked about you know, so shelter, like you said, you know, people, you have to, you know, start developing these things to have shelter, warm clothes, bedding, heating, firewood, the ability to start a fire. Everybody, you know, takes it for granted that, you know, they have a lighter or matches, you know, that butane and those matches aren't going to last forever. How do you then start a fire?
right,
You know, a lot of people don't have those Boy Scout or those Cub Scout, you know, skills. They just don't have it.
yeah,
Hygiene. I mentioned, you know, not being able to take care of yourself. Your hygiene is the quickest way to die in a situation where, you know, you don't have the ability to clean your body or clean your food or clean your hands,
yeah,
you know, like that.
yeah. Because let's the reality is that most people do not live near natural bodies of water.
Yeah.
Not it's not it's not common, right?
River,
Like
yeah, rivers
yeah,
where the
like
water's clean, spring water run off the rocks and stuff.
that part, or it's just like they don't know how to get there, right?
Yeah.
So it's just like in a situation where you don't even have the ability to cleanse yourself,
Yeah.
and also keep yourself warm, in a situation where there is no heating, like you said, those are some of the basic that we're like those are some of the most basic things that we take for granted,
Yeah.
and I think that we caught a glimpse of it during the freeze,
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
in 2021.
Uh-huh.
I remember just when the weather started to roll in and it really, really started to get cold, right? And even with the blankets and everything that we had, it still was like that worry in the back of our mind, like, how long is this going to last?
Yeah, when the power went out.
Yeah, the
So
power
we
went
had
out,
blankets,
so
but
it was just like,
there was no central heat.
yeah,
There were none of those things inside the house that we could utilize. When it got dark and the power went out,
yeah,
we just
phones are
time to go.
dying.
We're like, time to go to sleep.
Yeah,
All right, because
yeah, yeah,
we
yeah.
didn't have candles, we didn't have flashlights, we didn't have zip, right? But at the same time, we knew, or I should say that we were just so confident that this wasn't going to last long.
Mm-hmm.
This weather isn't going to last long. Eventually, it's going to warm up, and the power grid is going to be okay.
We were totally reliant on something
yeah.
that was unpredictable.
It was yeah,
It's extremely unpredictable.
But like I said, it was unpredictable. But in our minds, we just felt like someone's going to take care of it.
Yeah,
they're going to take care of
Yeah.
it. They're not going to allow that to happen.
We can't even name a person of who
No,
would have done
no,
it. We just
no.
think, oh, there's
somebody's there.
yeah, there's a company or
There's somebody's there.
somebody's there.
Yeah.
Like they wouldn't possibly allow us to.
So somebody's there, but every day we've been witnessing those people that are there being fired.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, from these places that kept us safe, secure, comfortable, confident that our government was functioning on the behalf of us.
Yeah.
Okay. And the thing is, there may come a day where we're no longer able to rely on the forces that have done that for us. So now it's all on us, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like I said, man, the list is so in depth, and you have to use it as guidance, as a tool. Speaking of tools, right? You need tools. You need tools. Most people
tools, all types.
Yes, you need tools. You need shovels. You need multi-tools, Swiss Army knives, flashlights, batteries, rechargeable, but not rechargeable from a source of electricity, rechargeable from a source of solar. Okay, because the one constant may be the sun. So if you have one of those solar powered charging banks, if you don't, you need to get one. Get on TikTok Shop, get on Amazon, do whatever you got to do, but get one of those that can charge up, multiple USB devices. If you have weapons that have sights on them, stop getting the ones that require that 2023 or 2026 battery, the little circle battery. Start getting ones that can be recharged via USB. Because if not, once your battery is dead, okay, your lithium battery is dead, you have no sight anymore. All right. Now you're using either iron sights, but you don't have, those capabilities anymore. So start thinking about, I need rechargeable stuff. And then I have to have the means to, recharge it.
Yeah.
Duct tape, rope, shovels, axe, a radio.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. You got it. That the radio aspect is something that is essential because, like, all right, if we'll just throw out like a hypothetically speaking type scenario. Let's say, like you said, the trumpets sound off, right? And we immediately get lunged into some sort of martial law type of, situation. You and everyone that you love needs to be able to program their radios to a frequency that everyone has agreed on, in order to communicate, because if no one is on the same page, then it's like, damn, what
We done lost comms.
you
lost
will
comms.
never, like, to put it into perspective, you will never possibly hear from them again until I don't know what it would take
Yeah.
for you to be able to reach that person again.
Yeah.
That's how entitled we are to being able to have the contacts list and have the phones that
You just hit a button,
do
man.
that do the
Goes to the
connections for us.
tower. Goes to the
No
tower.
one is thinking about, okay,
No.
well, if I lose connection on my cell phone, all right, we'll even put a real life scenario out there. How many of you have lost connection due to a cell tower being down in your in a region, a particular region, right? And you're thinking that, oh, well, it'll be up in about 30 minutes or an hour, and then an hour goes by, 2 hours go by, 3 hours go by. That has happened plenty of times, right? It doesn't get talked about because we're talking about all around the world. I mean, this happens commonly,
Yeah.
right? But what happens when an entire grid goes down
Mm-hmm.
to the point where no one can communicate?
Yeah.
That is something that I don't think that we've ever
No,
experienced.
we've never experienced anything
Ever.
anything
That's
that.
that's like
man.
EMP level stuff that once it happens, you're going to see mass hysteria. You're going to see panic.
Yeah.
Especially when they know that it is due to something related to global tension or
the government.
or something.
The government.
Yeah.
So and we're not just talking about radios in the CBs or handheld walkie-talkie types. We're also talking about radios to shortwave radios where you can receive information from, because there will always be someone, all right, that's transmitting on a frequency to let people know what's going on. All right. So you need to know about weather. Okay. So if there's somebody that's still out there that has the means to communicate, like, this is people's, like, what they do when the shit hits the fan, somebody's always going to be that one sitting up on the hilltop that's now taking over the airwaves to provide people with that type of information.
Yeah.
So you're going to need one of those hand crank radios that you crank up, and you can receive weather, AM, type stuff, transportation and evacuation, fuel supply, extra gas cans, a bicycle. All right. Like, I mean, a bike, man, it may sound crazy, but you may need bicycles, when there's no more fuel, but you got to go a far distance, and you may have to go on two wheels. All right. You may have to go on a bike. Maps and compasses in case GPS fails. So you got to have that little handheld compass, the magnetic compass.
Yeah.
All right. You got to have physical maps, and you have to learn how to read a map. A bug out bag, pre-packed, which is a bug out bag is going to be your pre-packed emergency bags for each family member. All right. So if there's 8 of us, we all got to have our own bag that has, hygiene stuff, 72 hours worth of, food. Okay. So, water purification tablets, first aid stuff, all in one bag that we can just throw in our backpack and go. Those things have to be packed up. You can't wait until, the last minute. Everybody has to have their bag, identify their bag, inventory their bag, monthly, quarterly, whatever, to make sure that everything in there is just the way it would need to be when you grab it and go. It won't be time to be going in different drawers and packing your socks and all your little snivel gear and stuff like that. You got to have that shit ready at a moment's notice. Grab it, get out the door. All right. Or you're going to get fucking left.
Yeah.
All right. I don't think people are going to have the patience. All right. To like, okay, yeah, take your time. Go ahead. I'll be out here waiting. Just come on out when you're ready. No, we're out.
Yeah.
All right. Communications and informations. So once again, we're talking about battery power, hand crank radios,
Mm.
walkie talkies for local communications, notebook and pens.
Yeah.
All right, because it may resort to being able to have to pass a note,
Mm-hmm.
you know, and
Hey,
get
when you reach mile 20, make sure you pass this along to so and
so and
so.
so. He'll be waiting on you.
Yeah.
You know, this person's job. You know, they're a carrier now. The you know, a lot of systems will start to reestablish, you know, such as a postal system, you know, a way to get information across, you know, county, city, state lines. All right. Sounds far-fetched, sounds crazy, but we've seen this in movies, and Hollywood is nothing but art imitating life. The ideas and the minds of people that you know, think of these scripts, you know, it's because their imagination takes them to these places that most of our imaginations won't allow us to go to,
Yeah.
you know, out of fear or acknowledgement of something horrific happening,
Yeah.
you know.
Pause that thought.
Yeah.
Power that provides us with safety, trust, and unconditional love necessary to unlock the mysteries of our mind, body, and soul.
Yeah, man.
So
And you know, we talked about them folks that, you know, come to the party, you know, without shit.
Yeah.
And you know, one of the final things is the ability to barter. You know, so it may not be what you have, but it could be what you know.
Mm.
Could be who you know. But you got to have something. So bartering stuff, and other miscellaneous things. So tradable goods, extra food, ammo, medical supplies, alcohol.
Mm.
There's gonna be alcoholics in the apocalypse. And if you got some drink, you might be able to trade some drink for some food. So even if you don't drink, get some drink.
Mm-hmm.
Cigarettes, silver, cash. Now they say cash, but you know, cash may have no value. So don't put too much stock in stacking up a bunch of cash, unless it's a thing where you're trying to leave these borders and it will allow you to have safe passage, you know, say from here to Mexico or something like that, because maybe money will still have some value on the southern and northern border. And finally, man, entertainment. Okay, books, board games, playing cards. Even when I was in combat, man, in Iraq, 2003, you know, in between, you know, missions, you know, when nothing else was going on, we sit around, play dominoes, play spades, things like that. Or you read a book, because you know, in talking about reading books, you know, there may come a time, you know, everybody was used to having TV to turn on and pass the time. You know, I remember when I met with these Vietnam veterans that were POWs, and I said, what did y'all do? These guys were POWs for 2, 3, 4, 5 years. They would teach classes, and sometimes they didn't have the book. They would teach it off of what they knew. I said, well, what would you teach a class about? And they would say, well, how to change the tire on a military vehicle, like a Jeep or something like that. And they would just make it up as they go along, you know, just to keep their minds fresh and to keep their spirits, you know, high, and to continue to be able to, you know, just
Enjoy life.
enjoy life,
hey,
right?
Like,
Through this process, because this isn't the end. If you want it to be the end, then you could just give up.
mhm.
You can just put one in the head if you want to. Okay.
Yeah.
Some people may, because they can't take it. All right. Because they don't have the intestinal fortitude to make it through this storm.
Yeah.
All right. But I know I want all my family, I want all you guys to be able to come out on the other side of this thing and us, you know, begin to thrive again. You know, we like I said, it's an uncomfortable conversation to have, but it needs to be had.
Yeah.
I think, you know, we've seen enough of these indications along the way that have been really preparing us with each event. You know, from the pandemic to the freeze. For some people, you know, people my age, there was a scare called Y2K, when in 2000, when the clock turned from 1999 to 2000, everybody thought that the computers did not have the necessary whatever it was in the CMOS to for the time to change from a 1999 to a 2000. They thought that all the computers were going to stop working. So they were preparing it for this thing for a whole year. Now people say it was a hoax. It was a hoax, but we didn't think it was a hoax until the day after January 1st, 20 or 2000.
Yeah.
Okay. So what did people start doing? People started buying up water, buying supplies, because they thought that once these computers hit 2000, that nothing, all technology would just be wiped out. So we've seen
That is actually
how people act.
Yeah, that's actually very odd.
Yes.
That something to that level in terms
It was
of
big.
a date shifting via computers, via a chip, would cause that much of a mass
They
hysteria.
thought that the engineers in the computer techs.
we forgot to account for
what happens when the millennium.
Yeah,
right.
once 2000 comes
But
around.
see, this is the thing. This is the thing. This is the thing. Despite what they thought was going to happen and what did happen, human nature did what human nature always does. When the unknown is there, people panic because it's just their instinct. When they don't know how something is going to turn out, they start doing dumb shit.
Yeah.
All right. So they started buying up all this stuff, toilet paper, water. Dude, we've seen it all before. If it starts getting a little bit colder in Texas and the storm is threatening, everybody buying up all the toilet paper, all the water, everything.
Yeah.
When the shipping yard went on strike, people assumed that was going to affect every single thing in the supermarket, even though the news said things that were being imported may be scarce. Fucking the toilet paper was made in the U.S. It didn't have to come in through a ship, but it still didn't stop people from going to the store and buying up everything, even the stuff that was made in the U.S.
Yeah.
So do you want to get caught in the situation where now you got to go out there and fight through mobs to get the things that you need? How, as a man, bro, I couldn't even imagine as a man coming home and saying, hey guys, I tried. Me and CJ went out there and we tried to get as much stuff as we could. All we were able to come back with was 2 gallons of water and 2 cans of beans. And there's 8 of us.
There's gonna be a lot of people that start hyperventilating. Like,
we finna die in fucking 2 days,
and we used up gas to get there too.
Right.
So
So this is my thing, bro. This is my thing. And like I said, this ain't clickbait, guys. This isn't something that this is things that you need to be thinking about. And I know everything else that's what's going on financially, the cost of stuff, but you have to prioritize your survival. Okay, you have to. I'm not sitting there saying buy all this shit at once.
Yeah.
Okay. If we're talking about ammunition, we saw that during COVID, bro, ammo was scarce and it was more expensive.
Yeah.
You go in the academy, bro, there was nothing on the shelf, right?
Yeah.
It was nothing there. Nothing. There was no guns. And the thing that people don't think about is that the lead up to this potential martial law, situation, in order for any of those things to occur, one's Second Amendment has to become in jeopardy. So there may come a time where when you thought about getting those weapons, and now you can't get those weapons.
Yeah.
Right? But the government got them.
Yeah.
Okay? And the only way that they would be able to control you is to take away that Second Amendment right. That's the difference between us and all these other countries that have been toppled due to autocracy and dictatorship. They didn't have no right to bear arms against tyranny.
Yeah.
We still do.
Right.
But the threat, when the threat comes, it will come in the manner of scaring society and civilians and saying, if you're caught with a gun, it's an automatic 25 to life.
Yeah.
Turn it in now to avoid that.
Yeah.
You out your fucking mind.
Yeah.
So you have to have your stockpiles of shit, because best believe, bro, if you think that, oh yeah, I got 1,000 rounds of 5.56, I got 400 rounds of 9mm, man, this mother out here with 20,000 rounds.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah.
20,000. Because ammo don't go bad.
Right. All you got to do is go on YouTube and look at the people that have been for
These
several years.
Preppers.
I mean, years. I'm talking about 10 plus, 20 plus, since YouTube has been around, and even they was doing it before that, right?
This ain't a Trump situation. This ain't a Trump. This ain't a Trump thing. This is an American thing.
Yeah.
This is a thing where, you know, being the youngest country, knowing through history that it's only a matter of time before the wheels fall off this bitch.
Yeah.
So there's people that have been prepping for this for a very, very, very long time. And they have 10,000, 20,000, 30,000 rounds.
Yeah.
They have 30 days worth of food.
Yeah.
Fuel.
Yeah. Look, what you're talking about are people who never lost sight of, hey, I still have to be intact with my own survival skills as a human being, right? I'm not, because at the end of the day, what we have to remember is that we are not robots. We should not be slaves to any sort of system or dependent on any sort of system, right? So with that being said, you know, there has to be some sort of, you know, cutoff where it's like, all right, the consumerism aspect of being a citizen in the United States goes to up to a certain extent.
Yeah.
And what I mean by that is the money that we spend and what we do as citizens should not put us at risk of having the ability to protect ourselves when we are no longer able to be said consumers.
Yeah.
Right? At that point, when everything is washed out and over with, what are you?
Yeah.
Right? Are you a liability or are you an asset? The people that you're talking about, they are assets, because regardless of, you know, the ability to live the American dream and
Own
you know, own a home and all this
own
stuff,
a car and
they
work a job.
Yeah, like they still possessed the mental attitude of, but I'm still a human at the end of the day, and I cannot be a slave or dependent on the matrix aspect.
Boom. I was just going to say, so where did we see happen?
Mhm.
And you said in the matrix, you're a fucking battery.
Yeah.
You're a cog.
Yes.
You're a battery.
Yes.
You know, Elon Musk fucked up the other day. I don't know if a lot of people caught it. He was on Joe Rogan again, and he was talking for 3 hours about some bullshit. But one thing I heard him mention, he talked about how, because birth rates are down, he was talking about Social Security, and because birth rates are down, he equated low birth rates to the ability to continue to fund Social Security. Now let's think about that. He equated low birth rates with the inability to continue to fund Social Security. What he's saying is that every child being born, the reason why these motherfuckers want people to continue to have babies at high rates, the reason why he's had 14 fucking children and all these other people are making babies and whatnot, even though it's just not economically wise for most people. They want babies to continue to be born because when they're born, they come with a certificate of birth. That certificate of birth is a bond, and that bond allows the U.S. government to continue to borrow money based on the potential of what this baby will contribute in the form of taxes in its lifetime. If this child contributes $100 to $200 to $300,000 in federal taxes and Social Security and all the things that comes out of their earnings to go to the federal government, then they can borrow money from the World Bank based on that child's existence, their potential existence, right?
Yeah.
That's the only reason why, not because they love children. So at the end of the day, when you can no longer consume goods and services from society, they have to then use you as the commodity. You are the source of infinite energy. And that was portrayed in the Matrix when they had those motherfuckers in cocoons supplying the system with your energy.
Yeah.
So that's the point, man. Like if you don't have nothing, when they're putting all these immigrants out of the country, and I know it's not okay to say, well, we need immigrants to pick these fruits, these vegetables, and do all the work that we won't do, and then we'll pay them a slave wage, and then they still won't be able to tap in and get any of the benefits that we get, even though they pay into it. They pay into federal taxes, they pay into Social Security, but they can never get it if they're not a citizen. What the fuck? But if they put them all out, and now there's a new class of individuals of the have-not.
Right.
You're the motherfucker goddamn picking the berries.
Yeah.
The fruit. And you say, I ain't picking that ain't what I do.
Yeah.
You're going to be the one doing it. You're going to be the fucking one. And don't think for 1 minute that that's not the goal. Okay? There's not enough jobs for everyone to, there's not enough employment. They don't want to pay for you to get educated and for you to go to college.
Right.
And for you to become a lawyer, a doc. No. So they're getting rid of all the scholarship programs and all those things. They need you. They need you to dig the ditch. They need you to be on the, be in the fields. Okay? Because they're not going to be the ones doing it.
Yeah.
So if we think about it in terms of that, then you see how much more realistic this conversation is. We talked about it before, where you have the wood, the axe, and the fire. Okay? Which one do you want to be? And when the shit hits the fan, if you don't have the ability to fight, and to protect, yourself, your family, then bro, you're going to be enslaved.
Yeah.
You're going to be enslaved, man. And I would like to believe that shit will never happen.
Yeah, for sure.
But what we've seen,
then that leaves you susceptible.
Leaves
you vulnerable.
You can believe what the fuck you want to believe.
Yeah.
But what we've seen in the past 60 days or 40 plus days, you can no longer ignore it. It's the elephant in the room.
Oh yeah. It's literally all on my feed, man. It's getting to the point where I have dreams about, just the worst shit, honestly.
I had a dream about tsunamis last night.
Yeah.
And us trying to get to safety.
All the time.
Yeah, and us trying to get to safety. So it's really always, it's about stuff like that. Now, granted, a lot of it may have to do with what we consume throughout our day, what we, what we're taking in through our subconscious. They say that our dreams are not related to our subconscious, mind. But, I think it's also a degree of what we know is possible. I don't want this. I don't want this.
Yeah.
I don't want, the what feels like has become, some of the best years of my life that I have to look forward to.
Right.
Like everything's finally getting so fucking amazing. And now, like damn, my money getting good.
Yeah.
Everybody on the come up. Oh, okay, that makes sense because the world's coming to a fucking end.
Yeah, and then
Okay, the
now
irony is that-
currency means nothing.
Nothing, right? Oh,
It's
I
like,
made
what
$1
the
million
hell?
and now this shit
And
is
I
worth-
can't even access it.
It ain't
Can't
worth.
even withdraw. I
Can't do
shit.
nothing. It ain't worth nothing. Okay. So with me thinking about shit like that, like I said, is prompted me to, okay, well, I got a little bit of money. It's time to get resources. So I haven't, it would be foolish of me. You know, I went to Amazon and I put in my cart a trauma bag, a first aid trauma bag. It was like $200 some odd dollars. That should be that should be enough to take care of, you know, us if something was to happen. But guess what? I think we need 2, 3, or 4 of them. Okay, if there's 8 of us, we need 4.
Several. We need several.
Yeah. If you got to go out if we got to go out on a mission, okay, me and you got to take a trauma bag with us. Where's the trauma bag? In the rear for everybody else, right? So you got to think about things like that. I looked at this food, 30-day supply of food for, you know, on a pallet, MREs, meals ready to eat. Ate them in the military. They ain't that bad. They good. All right. They trust. Hey, this shit is, I mean, hey, it will get you nourished.
Yeah.
Man, this shit, man. So the test date on it, the retest date is 2025, which means that this year this stuff will have to be retested for freshness. Or who tests that shit, right? I don't know. But the next lot was good to 2027. The test date would have been 2027. So at least we know that it's solid. But for 2 years, and then it'll have to be retested. And I'm sure it'll still be good then. You could probably easily get 2, 3, 4 years out of this stuff, right? It was $6,000. So I'm like, damn, do I need to do that, right? Should I buy that? Like, damn. Suppose this shit don't happen.
Yeah.
And I got $6,000 worth of meals ready to eat. What are we going to do with them?
Yeah.
You know? So it's like an investment. It's a long-term investment. But if you don't have it, you're fucked.
Yeah. And MREs are essentially more so emergency, for emergency use. Like if there's absolutely no way possible, meaning you haven't been able to hunt game,
yeah, nothing.
You haven't been able to yield certain crops, then that's where the MREs come into play.
But they're only going to last for so long.
So
long. You know, so if you got, let's just say, 30 days, but that's not what you're eating over 30 days because you're also out here hunting. You're trying to grow vegetables or you're scavenging, you're doing whatever, you know, it just, like I said, man, it just comes a time where even the supplies that you've gotten may not be enough to sustain you until society, you know, and civilization gets back on its feet.
Yeah.
You know, so this might, you know, man, listen, bruh, you know, this conversation can either be something from a prophetic standpoint. You know, when I say prophetic, you know, we're talking about all the stories that have been told and prophesized about from the fall of Babylon. It could be big conspiracy theory. It could be fear, or it could be reality. You know, either way,
we'll never know until it happens.
Until it happens,
and then when it does, we'll see what side of the fence, you know.
Side of the fence you on.
What side of the fence you're on. You're either prepared or unprepared. There's only 2 sides.
There's only 2 sides, man.
That's it. There's only 2 sides.
There's only 2 sides.
You're either prepared or you're unprepared.
So at the end of the day, what I would recommend, all right, to everybody is to get your head out of the sand, okay? And that's the nice way of putting it. You know, in the military, in the army, we say get your head out your ass. Your 4 points of contact, and start preparing on a scale that allows you to have some peace of mind.
Yeah, gives you assurance, gives you insurance.
Okay. You might not be a Second Amendment, type person. You're a fool. If you're not, I'm just gonna say it, man. Listen, if they got guns, you need to have guns. Okay. If they have guns, you need to have guns. If you're not a gardener, you better become a gardener. So you better get them heirloom seeds and start small. And most importantly, start building a community. Okay, start building a community, with the people that you trust and know and have a plan,
Yeah.
and everybody be on that same sheet of music. My mother, your grandmother, lives and my brother, they live in Philadelphia, 1,700 miles away. And I tell my brother all the time, bro, y'all not gonna be able to make it in the city. You're gonna have to find a way to get the fuck out of the city. Okay. I'm not gonna be able to help them. I've already come to that conclusion. 1,600 miles is a bridge too far. In the perfect world, they would all live here on the compound with me.
Yeah.
But they haven't gotten to that point where they believe that their livelihood and their safety is in jeopardy based on the current, events that they're seeing. So
Right.
they're not making those types of moves. And I can dig it. But my concern is who is here right now, who will be here, who has the ability to be here. Everybody that will come here, we need to have an established order of how we go about, managing this new life without cell phones, this new life without, robust electricity.
Mm-hmm.
All right. And we have to thrive in that environment so we can survive in that environment.
Yeah, man.
So, I take no pleasure in this shit. You know what I'm saying? I've fought many. I've seen this shit. I've seen, when I went to Baghdad and, through Baghdad in 2003 during the invasion in Iraq. And I'm like 29 years old and I'm seeing people, families, young people, young boys, young women, in the street begging.
Who've had their whole world turned upside down.
The Saddam money, the money that had his face on it, they wanted to trade for $1. We just wanted the Saddam money as a souvenir.
Oh, look what I got while I was deployed.
But the reality was their money was worth nothing anymore.
Yeah.
But that $1 I gave him was worth money.
Yeah.
Now let's put the shoe on the other foot. Excuse me. When that $1 that we may have is now worth nothing because there's no treasury. There's nothing. When I would give them an MRE out the window of the vehicle, and they were so thankful. And they may have went back and shared that one MRE with their whole family.
Yeah.
Bro, when we went in there as an American force to help them after we blew the bitch up.
Yeah.
My mind isn't in the thinking about, damn, will they ever have, running water again? Will they ever have electricity again?
Mm-hmm.
Or I wasn't thinking about that for them. I'm just over there fighting a war. Did they know or think about, damn, are we going to ever have running water again? Are we ever going to have electricity again? So if it can happen to them, it can happen to us. And I couldn't imagine that being our life. I know they felt the same at some point.
Yeah.
So us as Americans, okay, as citizens in this place that we've called home all of our lives, we need to wake the fuck up. We need to wake up. And this can all be avoided.
Yeah.
If we start seeing the forest for the trees.
Yeah.
And know that if we don't take a stand, then we're going to fall for everything. Once we fall, bro, you know, it will take forever to get back up. So, this ain't what I want. Take no pleasure.
Be ready.
Yeah.
That's all we can say. Be ready.
Yeah. You know, going out there shooting guns and shit is all fun and games, and, you know, going out on the weekends and hanging out and playing survival. But when you got to play this shit every single motherfucking day, okay, and come back, you know, to a place that,
yeah, there's an answer that needs to be provided every day, you know. And what I mean by that is, okay, how much water do we have left?
Yeah,
how much food do we have left? You know,
you're drinking too much.
Is Johnny still sick?
Yeah.
Is so and so recovering?
Yes.
Did so and so make it back?
Yeah.
Have you heard from so and so?
Yeah.
Those like questions that, you know, people take for granted because of how easy everything has been made for us to be dependent on.
Yeah, man.
Right?
Yes, sir.
You know, I could get a phone call, you know, from a friend or a relative today.
Yeah.
And miss the phone call, see the phone call, and be like, oh, you know, I'll call him back.
Yeah.
You know, because of the assumption that tomorrow when I wake up, everything
like all good.
Everything is still going to be a normal routine and configuration. So I say this to say that we are all, I don't care who it is, we're all dependent on the system, and we have to find a way to, we don't have to find a way. We have to adopt the certain way of living in as far as being detached from that dependency.
Yeah.
And once
we gotta live
that,
we gotta be able to live both ways.
Yeah. Yeah. You know, we got to be able to, because I'm not saying live Stone Age, live caveman, but you have to also have the ability to like you said, be able to live the other side of things, to flip that coin and say, okay, cool, I'm Gucci on this side too.
Exactly.
If you flip that coin and it lands on that side that you're not prepared for, then you lose the bet.
That's it.
And that's it.
That's it. Bet. Yeah, that's it.
Bet's
you lost.
over. You give. You're giving everything.
You lost. So yes, I can live in the creature comforts, get in my bed every night, take a shower every night, and go on my refrigerator and all that shit, and life is good, right? And I can also live in the woods in this tent and build a fire and hunt my food and plant my garden and take care of my family and create medicine and do all those things. So I'm good.
Mm-hmm.
I'm good both ways.
Mm-hmm.
You need to be good both ways. When you adopt that mindset, and then you have the actual physical, means to do it, then you can remove that level of stress.
Yeah.
But many people can't, bro. And like I said, when we started this conversation, we ain't ready, but we getting there.
Yeah.
All right. We ain't ready, but we getting there.
Yeah.
And this may be, one of the last times that we're able to drop this type of knowledge. We don't know. We don't know what tomorrow brings.
Yeah.
But what I will tell you is this: as you're preparing, keep that shit close to the chest. Okay? Nobody needs to know how many weapons you got, how much ammo you got. Nobody needs to know any of that stuff about how we're set up. Okay? Because then we become Mark a lot. We become a mark.
Oh well, this community got
Oh yeah.
this A, B, and C.
Oh yeah.
But
Yeah.
that's how it always happens.
Yeah.
That's how it has. That's how invasions always occurred.
Yeah.
It started with reconnaissance.
Yeah.
And if you make it easy for people to have quick reconnaissance, like I know it, like too easy.
He got
hey,
a whole
he got it
bulldozer over
made.
there. He got
Hey, he got it
chainsaws.
made.
He got
Let's take his
yeah,
shit.
take his shit. This motherfucker old.
Yeah.
You know.
So
So that's it,
So,
man.
but
Start.
nonetheless,
Yeah, man. Hey,
it's
start building your plan.
building plan. Build your
Um,
network of people.
Identify task. That each individual will have. Like I said, write it out. Get on Chat GTP, ask those questions, what you need, and start gearing up towards that stuff. I don't sit there and think that that we're being paranoid by any stretch of the imagination.
Yeah.
All
Because we're
right?
not just gonna. We're not just going to all of a sudden be like, I should probably start preparing for when the world ends or when.
Nah.
No, unless there's a pretty obvious indication, and we live in a world where, nothing is being swept under the rug at this point.
Nah, man, it's all in
Everything
your face.
is all in our face.
Yeah.
So the indications are there that, hey man, like, I don't know if y'all know this, but
You're just being naive
yeah,
at this point.
you know
You're
what I
just being
mean?
naive.
So if you choose to just
Yeah.
ignore it,
I mean, dude,
Then-
come on, bro. We saw January 6th with our own eyes, our own ears. We something once again that we thought would never occur. But we saw people going to the Capitol and doing things that were we couldn't fathom
Yeah.
happening, in most of our adult lives. These are all, just like I said, indicators that what could happen
yeah, that
will
what's
happen.
potentially leading up to. So
So read the tea leaves, man.
Yeah.
Read the tea leaves, understand the signs. If if you're a leader, if you're the leader of your family, whether you're a man or a woman, all right, you got to start doing the necessary things to prepare yourself, your family, for what potentially could result in a new life, a new normal. And I'm not looking forward to it, but I'm damn sure gonna be ready for it.
Yep.
So
indeed,
hey, so
that's it.
that's it, bro.
So-
Hey, so thank you guys for joining us for another episode of Two Dads Named Chad, and we're always going to be here to drop that knowledge, on you guys, and just stay focused, man. Stay alert, stay alive. Peace.